بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين صلى الله وسلم وبارك على عبده ورسوله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, may Allah be pleased with him, narrated that the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam said, no zakat is due on anything less than 5 awaq, and no zakat is due on less than 5 camels, and no zakat is due on less than 5 wasqs. What is this? This is the measurements and the numbers and what zakat is due in. Now remember, we mentioned before that there are how many categories of zakat? There are 4. Here we have 3 only. And let's go through them one by one. The first one, the Prophet says, لَيْسَ فِي مَا دُونَ خَمْسِ أَوَاقٍ صَدَقَةٍ. Awaq is the plural of uqiyah. And uqiyah is a means of measurement of gold and silver. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying to us that the nisab, the limit of silver, is 5 uqiyah. Each uqiyah is equivalent to 40 dirham. So these are the coins at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. So 200 dirhams, these are the nisab of silver. How many grams are there so that we can know? Scholars say it is 595 grams of silver. 595 grams of silver. If you have this or more and a whole year passes while it is in your capacity, while it is in your possession, then you have to give 2.5% as zakat. If you have 490 grams and a whole year passes, do I pay zakat? Nope, because it is below the nisab. If I have 600 grams of silver, but 11 months passed and then I gave it away, do I have to pay zakat? Because a whole year did not pass. So these are 2 conditions. Understood? Right. The Prophet did not mention gold alayhi salatu wassalam, but it was mentioned in another hadith where he said that 20 dinars is the nisab for gold. And how much is 20 dinars? Scholars calculated it and said that if you have 85 grams of gold, then you have to pay zakat if a whole year passes. 85 grams of gold. What kind of gold? Is it important to know? Yes, of course. Why? Because if it is 16 karat gold, it's different than when it's 24 karat gold. So the Prophet is talking about pure 24 karat gold, because 16 karat gold is not pure. It has copper, it has other materials with it, so it is not pure. So you may have 180 grams of gold of 16 karat or 18 karat, and there is no zakat in it. Why? Because if I take it to the goldsmith and I ask him how many pure grams of gold are there in this amount of gold that I have, and he calculates it and he weighs it and he tells me there is only 70 grams. This means that there is no zakat on it. And this helps you when you calculate the zakat on your gold, on your wife's gold. Sometimes your wife gives you this bunch of gold and you're happy that mashallah this is a lot, and you take it to the jewelry shop, he measures it, he fixes, he looks into it to know what carat of gold is he having, and then he tells you this is only 75 golds. What? 75 grams? I said, yes. It's not fully original, it's not pure, it's not so and so. So you don't have to pay zakat for that either. Is this understood? Now, before going on to the second and third part, what is the ruling on money? So if I have euros, if I have reals, if I have rupees, if I have dollars, if I have whatever, so how can I give zakat on that? Should I calculate it on silver or on gold? Yes, brother.
Our calculation should be based on the amount of gold present. For example, the nisab level of gold is 85 grams. So we should have money which is equivalent to the amount of 85 grams of gold.
This is one of the schools of thought that says that monetary and banknotes are calculated with their equivalent of 85 grams of gold. But the other scholars say that this would be depriving the poor, because then we would have only a limited segment of people who have this amount of cash. How much is 1 gram of gold cost? Nowadays, I don't know it in reals, it's 200 plus. So you're talking about approximately maybe 20,000 reals of savings for a whole year. Not everybody has this. And this means that the chances of the poor getting zakat is not as much when we say that nisab is 595 grams of silver, because then the nisab would be approximately 3,000 riyals or 4,000 riyals. So the difference is extremely big. And that is why Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen and Sheikh Ibn Baz and other great scholars say that the money should be calculated by silver and not by gold. And as I stated, it's an issue of dispute among scholars, but this is the most authentic opinion. So this is money, this is gold, this is silver, we got it over with. There are so many strings attached, however. What is among them is, if I lent someone money, let's say I gave someone 5,000 euros as a loan, do I have to pay zakat on that or not? Scholars said you have to look into the situation first. When I gave the money to that brother, was it indefinite or was it time bound? If it was indefinite, I have to go to him every single year and say, brother, do you have the money? Can I have it back or not? If he says, I am broke, I don't have money, or he refused to give it to me, he said, no, you don't have anything. Prove it. Do you have any papers? Do you have any witnesses? So if he does this, scholars say that this loan is as if it is lost. I don't pay zakat for it for the whole period until he gives it to me, whether it's after 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Once I get it, I give zakat only for 1 year. So this is case one. If he is saying, I don't have money at all, I'm broke, I apologize. Or he is rejecting the fact and he's lying and he's denying that he took money from me. The second situation is, if I know that he's able to pay, but I'm too shy to ask him. This happens a lot. You give someone money and I don't need the money. If I ask him, maybe I will embarrass him. Whenever he has the money, he will return it back. In this case, I have to pay zakat every single year over that 5,000 euros. And when does the nisab, or when does the hawl begin? This is an issue of great confusion among the people. When do I pay the money? The scholars say that you have to pay the zakat when a full year passes. Nowadays, we get money coming in and out every month. So how can we calculate when the year starts and when the year ends? It's difficult. Every month I'm getting my salary. The only way to do this is to have 12 wallets or 12 bowls. And one is for Muharram, Safar, Rabi', Ramadan, Dhul Hijjah. And every month I get my salary or my income, I take what I need and I throw it in one of the wallets. And after 1 year, I calculate what's in the wallet and I give 2.5%. But this is not realistic, because usually your wife will not leave you anything in that. She will go and clean it all. And if she doesn't clean it, it is difficult because now I have to fix my car. Where should I take my money from? From Muharram or from Ramadan? And then I get some money somewhere else. Or where should I put this? So scholars say the best way to do that is to designate one day in the lunar year. And that day, let's assume it is the 1st of Rajab. Let's assume. So whenever 1st of Rajab occurs next year, you calculate everything you have, whether it came into your possession a year ago or it came into your possession last month. And you give 2.5%, and that is it. Don't think about what you have until the coming 1st of Rajab. One would say, Sheikh, the money that I got 1 month ago, why should I pay 2.5% if a whole year did not pass? I say you don't have to, but I'm telling you that this is the best way and the only way for you to relax and not be confused. We have a short break. Stay tuned, inshallah, we'll be right back. Assalamu alaikum and welcome back. So, this is the only way and the best way of not being confused. Set a date, and regardless, the money came a year ago, 6 months ago, yesterday, you give 2.5%. And this is found in the Sunnah, that is, giving the zakat in advance. This is found, and we will get to read this, inshallah, after a while. So this is regarding the debts you have. Likewise, people say and claim, I borrowed 20,000 euros from a friend. So when my date for zakat comes, I have 5,000 euros. So can I deduct this from that? And the answer, no. Your loan is a separate issue of the money you have in your possession. If I have 40,000 euros in my bank account, and I borrowed 20,000, but these 40,000 a whole year passed, should I give zakat for the 40 or for 20? You should give the zakat for 40. Because if you want to save yourself from the zakat money, give the 20,000 back to the owner before the zakat is due. But keeping the money in your possession and not wanting to pay zakat, no. The Prophet ﷺ, when he sent his rulers to collect the zakat, they did not go and ask the people, this is all yours or did you borrow some? They used to get the zakat from whatever they found, regardless if the man says, this is not mine, I borrowed it or not. As long as it's in his possession, they give zakat out of it. The Prophet goes on, alayhi salatu wasalam, to say that there is no zakat due in less than 5 camels. So now we know that there is a certain number of camels that you give zakat for, and there is a certain number of cows that you give zakat for, and there is a certain number of sheep that you give zakat for. So if I have 39 sheep, there is no zakat. If I have 40 sheep, there is zakat. 1 sheep. If I have 5 camels, there is 1 sheep. If I have 4 camels, nothing. And likewise. So these numbers, they are not of that importance to us because we do not have livestock. But those who do, it's very crucial for them to know what are the numbers needed to know. So for cows, are they 20 or 30? And when they have to give a sheep or they have to give a cow of certain age, in the case of camels, 5, you give 1 sheep, but then the multiplication of that, you give a certain age of camels. So everything has its zakat and rules that governs it. To me, I don't know them. I never keep them by heart. Simple, because nobody asks me about them. So I memorize them and I keep them by heart 3-4 weeks, nobody asks me, I forget them. Because you don't need it. It's not always there. Unlike other questions where you're always asked about it, you know it. So to us, we don't have livestock, so we pass this, inshallah. But you need to determine what is the zakat in your livestock, this is very easily calculated. And then the Prophet says that there is no zakat due on less than 5 wasqs or awsuq. And al-wasq is a big thing that you put what you would like to measure in. So as in the case of liters, a liter is a means of measurement by size or weight? By size. A kilogram is by weight. So the wasaq is a means of measurement by size. And scholars say that a wasaq is equivalent to 60 sa'. Do you remember sa'? We took this as a measurement when we were talking about ghusl. And the sa' is composed of how many mud? 4. It is composed of 4 mud. And what is the mud? It's 1 hand or 2 hands full. It's 1 hands full. So whatever you can collect in both of your hands, this is called mud. 4 of them is considered to be a sa'. And 1 sa' is necessary for zakat al-fitr. Right? So this is 4 times. Now, al-wasaq, which is measurement by size for the crops, is equivalent to 60 sa'. So 5 by 60 is 300 sa'. So if you have your crops more than 600 sa', this is zakatable. And if it's below that, it is not zakatable. And the sa' is equivalent in weight to 2 kilograms and 40 grams. So drop the grams, it's about 2 kilos plus. So if I have my crops that approximately weighs 610 or 620 kilograms, then I have to pay zakat. Less than that, I don't have to pay zakat. Okay, is zakat due in fruits? No, we've said that. What about vegetables? Again, no. It is due in things that can be stored and can be measured by the sa'. And that is why scholars differentiate between or by the method of watering. So they say, if the crops are in a farm and my farm has a stream going in, so it is watered by the stream, or continuously watered by the rain, or from a spring, or from a river, meaning I'm not putting any effort to water it. If the water is always there, then I have to pay 1/10 of it for zakat. The percentage-wise, 10%. How much is the percentage when it came to gold, silver, and money? 2.5. So they call it, this is 1/4. And if the crops are being watered without any effort from my side, it is 1/10 or 10% is zakatable whenever the crops is being harvested. What about if I have to dig a well and then put motors and methods of pulling the water from underground to water these crops? They say in this case the zakat is half of the 10th, which is 5%. So whenever there's an effort from my side, and not the effort is by digging canals, no, the effort by drawing or pulling the water from underneath the earth by motors and so on, or by camels or by animals drawing the water up, this means that I pay only 5% of the zakat. Going back to the livestock, any livestock that I have to pay zakat? No. If the livestock is eating most of the year from the open grounds, there is zakat. But if I am feeding, I'm buying the grass and I'm buying the hay to feed them, then there is no zakat at all. The zakat is when the livestock is eating from the ground, meaning I have nothing to spend on it. It goes and eats from the grass, it goes, eats from the farms, no problem in that. I have to give the zakat. But if I am feeding, I have livestock of 1,000 sheep, and I buy trucks of grass every day and I feed them. At the end of the year, there is no zakat unless they are used for selling. So approximately this is what needs to be discussed about this issue. We have to discuss it furthermore next time we meet. Do you have any questions?
So you just mentioned a point about the animals. If they are eating from outside, then there is no zakah. There is zakah on them. And if you are feeding them, then there is no zakah. What about, for example, in a country which says the rainy season, when for some time of the year, they're eating from outside when the grass is growing, and then when there's, the dry season, you're feeding them. So in that case, what happens?
Well, scholars say that it depends on what prevails. So if it is most of the year eating from my own crops, and some part of the year they eat outside, there is no zakat. But if the majority of the year they eat outside, and some 3-4 months I feed them myself, then there is the zakat.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam.
You told about gold, that for 85 grams of gold there is 2.5% zakat. Suppose, for example, if I have 50 grams of gold and somewhere around 400 grams of silver and some cash, but the total amount is equivalent to what is more than 85 grams of gold, will I have to pay zakat?
It's an issue of dispute among scholars whether it is permissible to join different types together. So some say that as long as the money, the silver and the gold is owned by the same person, so it should be considered to be one type. Some say no, the gold is different than the silver, and likewise the cash is different than them all. To me, I cannot decide at the moment. I cannot tell you, because it appears to me that as long as the owner is one, then he is considered to be having one type of money.
Sheikh, you said that if the crops are irrigated from natural waters or you are not doing it, it is 1/10. And if you are using your efforts, then it is 1/5. And you told that is 5%.
Not 1/5. It is half a tenth, which is 5%, which is less. Gold and silver, the zakat is 1/4 of a tenth, which is 2.5. If the crops are being watered by me, by my engines and by my efforts, it is half a tenth, which is 5%. If it's irrigated naturally by rivers or streams or springs without any effort from my side, it is 1/10, which is 10%. I'm afraid that this is all the time we have. Until we meet next time, في أمان الله والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
This is your brother Salim Al-Amiri.